Now, for people who might not have come across the environmental awards before, or more specifically the Dunphy Award, what's that in recognition for?
Well, these are awards by the Nature Conservation Council of New South Wales, which is like the umbrella of all the conservation and environment bodies in the state. But the Dunphy Award is named after Miles Dunphy and his son Milo Dunphy, who were campaigners. I mean, Miles Dunphy goes back to 1932, where he actually put forward the proposal for the Greater Blue Mountains National Park, which is essentially the Greater Blue Mountains World Heritage Area now, with several parks that make it up. So so this is but it's particularly for conservation over a long period. So I started. I'm an environmental scientist, but I started as a conservationist also in 1974 when I walked down from Glen Davis with friends down through the Colo River and came out at Colo Heights. A 5-day trip through what is now the largest protected wilderness on the east coast of Australia in Wollemi National Park. And I actually woke up on the second day at the beginning of the Colo River with a lyrebird standing a metre away from me, and that sort of catalysed my thought that here's the world's greatest mimic that didn't have a human voice to speak for him.
When the Colo Committee was formed to campaign for the protection of the Wollemi Wilderness, how much resistance did you get at the time?
A fair bit. It's interesting now because almost all the councils supported the creation of the World Heritage Area, but in 1974, we were only proposing the Crown land, right? We weren't proposing anybody's private properties, but of course those who don't like national parks were saying we were going to take away everyone's private land, and even have people ring up saying you're going to take my property, and you say, oh, no, we don't want to. We just after to protect the Crown land, and of course you'd get they said you to say that. You can't stop a good conspiracy theory, but as we all know, it's interesting now because everyone around Wollemi now is really proud. All the councils of Wollemi National Park and the World Heritage Area. So, but yeah, it met quite a lot of resistance, but it was 5 frantic years in the campaign for to create Wollemi, and when it was actually created, it increased National Park in New South Wales by 1/4. So it was really quite a significant thing. If we're going to keep the unique natural heritage we have in New South Wales and Australia, then we actually need to protect all those large natural areas.
And you've continued to campaign for the protection of a number of areas, the Daintree Rainforest, most recently the Gardens of Stone as well.
Gardens of Stone since 1980, 41 years, and we've finally got another reserve is just about to be announced, or has been announced. It hasn't quite been gazetted yet. So it's one of the longest environment conservation campaigns in New South Wales history. But because you've got these, I'm an ecologist or environmental scientist by training, but I'm very interested in geodiversity. In other words, the unique geomorphological landscapes and structures and formations we have. And Gardens of Stone's got these amazing rock formations with that look like lost cities and pulpits and temples. And I actually worked with a geomorphologist who's sadly now passed away, Robert Ray, and he'd been around the world looking at sandstone formations, and he pointed out, well, there's nothing like them in the rest of the world. So that's where their international significance was recognised from 2011. He and I wrote a paper on it. It's really nice to see that there's we got a little national park in 1993, I think it was, but now we've got this other 30,000 hectare reserve, it's also, of course, an ecotourism destination, so we're still waiting to see how that works out, but it's still protecting an area that is just a wonderland, both in terms of biodiversity and in the geodiversity.
And what does it mean to you to be recognised in this award? Because I'm sure this is the sort of work that you would be doing regardless of the recognition or not.
Oh, sure. Well, I actually said, look, this is an individual award, but I actually remembered some of the key people I worked with when I accepted it, because it's when people in the community actually, get together and actually, run campaigns about things that they love, that you actually get to change the world in a small way for the better. And yeah, I think so, yes. Obviously it does. I spent a lot of my life. It's a passion of mine, so it's wonderful to be recognised. But in the Central West, of course, we just have, particularly in the Blue Mountains World Heritage Area, we just had this incredible wonderland, and it's so great that it worked out that it's now protected.
Yeah, we're very well said, Haydn. We'll have to leave it there for this afternoon, but thank you very much for your time and congratulations on your receipt of the Dunphy Award.
Many thanks to you.
Thank you. Dr. Haydn Washington there, recipient on the Dunphy Award.
Hi, I'm Stuart Pearson, lead candidate of the Bathurst Matters team. If leadership and vision for Bathurst region interests